Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Log Show here on WSJU Radio. This is my last one on the radio for this semester. Live stream will still be up, so for all of you who do tune in on the radio, youtube.com/the Log Show. The show will still be going on all summer into football season, yada yada. So please tune in there. But obviously, we have a lot to talk about today in today's show. I mean, really, to just get it started, like we have NFL news, obviously. The draft was last weekend. I tried to get my friend Joe up here today. Sadly, he could not come to have like a little like football talk about how we felt about the draft in general, but I will just talk about that myself. NBA playoffs obviously are underway, have been for a while now. We're in the second round. A lot is going on, a lot of surprises, a lot for me to talk about there. Steph Curry's amazing performance, James Harden's amazing performance last night. So a lot to talk about there. Obviously, the Knicks, NHL playoffs, they just move on to the second round. We had the Rangers-Devils game 7 last night, which was a banger of a game. We have the news with the Bruins losing, which is blowing everyone's mind. I don't know much about hockey, but I have been watching the playoffs, so that is at least entertaining to me. And I have been keeping up with what's going on in the playoffs, even though maybe I'm not tuning into every game. And then baseball I don't want to talk about because I'm a Yankee fan right now. So you Yankee fans will understand why I don't want to talk about baseball, but obviously I will touch on it if I have time. UFC news, really nothing going on in the UFC world. We do have UFC, I believe it is 288 this weekend. If I am correct, yes, UFC 288 is this weekend. Not a gigantic, huge event. Not this like big, star, but it is the main event is Aljamain Sterling versus Henry Cejudo, which will be, I believe it will be a banger of a fight. Aljamain's one of my favorite fighters. I love how he fights. I love how he grinds. I love how he overcame that whole Peter Yan situation. And fighting Triple C's is going to be very, very, very difficult and it is a big hump to put and a big hill to get over here for Aljamain Sterling fighting Henry Cejudo, who seems to have been coaching every champion over the past, 2 years. Anybody who's won a belt over the past 2 years seems to have been taught by Cejudo and a little bit of wrestling. I know I talked about this when the John Jones fight came up. There was that whole situation where he taught him. So I'll get into that too. That's going to be a fun event. We got a Gilbert Burns fight there too. So I will definitely talk about UFC 288 at least a little bit towards the end of this show to really cover everything that I've been covering this semester and like getting into and stuff like that and having fun with you guys here on the radio. And I've been having a lot of fun and I want to keep that up. That's why I'm keeping this live stream going. That's why I really hope everybody can tune into the YouTube over the summer. I'm going to be really pushing it. If you follow me on my socials, stuff like that. So please tune in. But I'm just going to get right into the nitty gritty of the NFL, which is what I love to talk about, even though we are in the lull period of the year when it comes to football. There's the whole XFL going on, which I have not paid attention to, if I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like that fugazi professional football. That's what it is to me. It's your college is the pipeline for the NFL. It's not like where you have these like minor league teams and et cetera, like you do in hockey and you do in baseball and stuff like that. You're really sitting here. College is the pipeline. So you start these other leagues and you just end up in like, I don't know. It's like Ben DiNucci is the best quarterback in the league. Ben DiNucci is winning like MVPs. You know what I'm saying? The man was a third string in the league. Like, so that's just how I feel about that. Football is football, but still, you know what I mean? So I'm going to honestly get right into it. I'm going to start with what I feel like is the craziest news after the Aaron Rodgers trade. For all you Jets fans, I hope you've been very entertained with those clips, by the way. To side note there, Aaron has been, for the first time in like 5 years, Aaron is sitting here at OTAs and he's sitting here at OTAs throwing in May to his new receivers, getting used to Garrett Wilson, getting used to a bunch of dudes. So Aaron seems to be fully into the Jets and all in to try to succeed with that team this year, which would be exciting. But speaking of Aaron's old division, someone else also left that division, and that is DeAndre Swift with a huge, huge trade the Lions make to Philadelphia during the draft. They trade after picking I can't remember his first name. I want to say his name is what's his name? It's something Gibbs. It's something Gibbs. Let me look it up real quick. Jahmyr Gibbs. So they draft the Alabama running back, Jahmyr Gibbs, which was a surprise to a lot of people. They drafted him at, I believe it was like 7. I think they ended up trading around in the draft, and they ended up at like 7 and picking him, or it might have been like 8 or 9. But like I said, they end up picking him, and that really opened up to a lot of people. I think it made it pretty obvious that DeAndre Swift was now open to trade, because he has been injury prone after the past couple years. But I feel like what the Lions kind of got for him was like a bag of chips. You know what I mean? Like that type level deal. Because DeAndre Swift, when playing, has been one of the best running backs in the league. Yes, he hasn't been healthy. I'll agree with that 100%, right? But like, when you look at DeAndre Swift's stats over the past couple years, let me pull them up here on my phone. You look at his stats over the past couple of years, like, he hasn't had an 1,000-yard season, and I guess that's the issue with the Lions. The Lions sit here and say that he's only played – how many games is it has he played? Like, he's only played a handful of games in his career. I'm trying to get the number exactly here. Of course, they don't give me a number here on ESPN of just like games played, point blank period. But, yeah, they just don't give it to me. That's stupid. That's something you should put on your stats, ESPN. Put on how many total games they've played, please. But yeah, not a lot of total games here for DeAndre Swift. I don't want to sit here and count it for you all just because I don't want to take that time out of the show. But yeah, probably I like, if I counted, it was probably 10 games. So he hasn't played even a full season yet in his career, and he's been in the league for 3 years. That's the huge issue here with DeAndre Swift, and I get that. But I think everybody has seen the production that he puts out on the field, and in an offense like Philadelphia, only giving up a 4th, and I think it was – I want to say it was a 4th and a 7th, if I remember correctly. It was a 4th this year. I don't know if it was a 7th this year or a 7th next year is what I'm looking up real quick. But, yeah, like you look at this Philadelphia offense, and it's kind of – so it was a 4th and a 7th both this year, while Philadelphia gets us – it was a 7th swap is what it was. So you really just traded DeAndre Swift for a 4th-round pick, which was very surprising to me. I feel like his production is at least a 3rd. Like I said, I understand he hasn't been on the field, but the production when he is on the field is something that I feel like a lot of people agree could be a top 5 running back in the league. Like I'm not even messing around there. So I think in this Philadelphia offense, he's going to fit perfectly in a running back room with that just added Rashad Penny. You got Kenneth Gainwell. You got Boston Scott in that running back room. You have a very, very talented running back room there with a very talented offensive line that was one of the best in the leagues last year, with a player like Jalen Hurts, who's also mobile. So as a defense, you have no idea who's going to get the ball. And that's what makes them a very scary offense is DeAndre Swift is a good back out of the outfield. So is Kenneth Gainwell, and so is Rashad Penny. So those are 3 people who when in the game, you don't know if they're getting thrown the ball or if they're running the ball. Jalen Hurts dropping back, you don't know if he's throwing the ball or running the ball. You have this offensive line that on a 4th down, they ran the QB sneak to absolute beauty and perfection last season. So DeAndre Swift, in my opinion, is just going to squeeze into this offense like a glove. Like a glove. Like a glove. I'm going to be honest. He is going to do it. And it's going to be – I think it's scary for the NFC East. and a team that was already very, very talented last year. And like I said, an offense that was at the top of the league last year, that also, when we get into it in the draft, also drafted Jalen Carter somehow at 10th overall, who some people called the best pick in the draft. Which, like I said, I don't know, at the end of the day, the draft's the draft. He fell for a reason. He had a lot of off the field issues going into the draft, into the combine, got arrested while at the combine. But this Philadelphia team, you got Jalen Carter to replace Javon Hargrave, who left and went to San Francisco. So this Philadelphia team in the draft really addressed 2 points of emphasis that they lost very fast. And it was a Philadelphia team that doing that was very well, because a lot of people maybe wanted, I know he ended up not even falling to 10. He ended up going 8 to Atlanta, but a lot of people wanted Bijan Robinson to end up in Philadelphia. I thought he was going to. I didn't really see Atlanta taking a running back like they did. I think that's interesting. I do like that fit, though. I will get into that when I talk more about the draft in a little bit. But going back to what I was saying about Philadelphia, this is just an offense that adds weapons and isn't scared to make a trade for a weapon that, in my opinion, like I said, yes, you have this situation where DeAndre Swift has been injured and hasn't been on the field, and that's what 100% scares you. But it's kind of like, I have this whole opinion where it's just like, I've seen what DeAndre Swift could do on an NFL field. I haven't seen what Jahmyr Gibbs could do on an NFL field. Therefore, you should be able to, you know what I'm saying? Like, therefore, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I grade that higher. I grade someone I've seen had success on an NFL field higher than what I grade a rookie coming in, no matter what, because I haven't seen it before. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just haven't. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed, and I don't love the deal for Detroit, but I don't hate it either. I don't hate it. You know what I'm saying? It's very God bless me. But I think it's very good for Philadelphia. I don't think it changes much in Detroit. You know what I mean? I think Detroit could have gone without the deal and gone without improving Philadelphia's roster, but I don't know if it's going to make such an impact on their team because DeAndre Swift hasn't been playing for the past couple seasons, and he has been injured for so often and all that. But back to the actual draft, because that was a trade that happened very late in the draft. That happened on Saturday, which was, end of the draft. Nobody's really watching anymore. I wasn't even watching the draft at that point. I had gotten an alert on my phone. I was playing like PlayStation or something, and my jaw just dropped to the floor. I was like, okay, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like, but Bryce Young ends up going 1, like a lot of people expected. I don't think it surprised many people. He was called by Dan Orlovsky at some point this season the Steph Curry of football, which is a huge thing to say about somebody. He does sit at 5'11", which worries a lot of people, but Bryce Young put up great numbers this year. I think Bryce Young was easily the best quarterback in this draft. I like Stroud. I don't think Stroud and in Carolina fit as well as Stroud in Houston. I like Stroud in Houston a lot better. I think what they're building down there with DeMeco Ryans and all of that really builds better towards what CJ Stroud is as a quarterback. But the Bryce Young pick, I really like. I was hoping Carolina messed it up and picked Will Levis. I was begging and pleading. I was like, please mess this up. And then obviously everybody saw what ended up to Will Levis and his absolutely gorgeous girlfriend. But they ended up sitting there for a while waiting to get drafted. But Levis ends up going to Tennessee in the second round. I believe it was 33, if I remember correctly. Might have been 32. It was one of those 2 picks. I don't remember which number it was out of those 2. It was 32 or 33. He ends up getting picked, goes to Tennessee, which is an interesting situation for Levis. You have a situation there where you have Ryan Tannehill. You just drafted Malik Willis. I believe that was last year, if I remember correctly. Was it not? Or has Malik Willis just been on the bench for 2 years? If I remember correctly, Malik Willis was a rookie last year. Yes. So I mean, I think it's very interesting what you have there. Maybe a team moves for Malik Willis. He's still young, like I just said. He's only going into his second season. Clearly, Tennessee didn't love him because they wanted to pick a quarterback. A lot of people had them trading up to pick a quarterback, which they ended up not doing. They sat back and waited for Will Levis, which I guess they're happy with. I don't know if I'd be happy with it from what I saw on tape and all that, but Bryce Young ends up going one, which a lot of people saw coming. I think everybody kind of rounded out to the end of the draft. I think it was pretty good. It was the consensus to a lot of people that Bryce Young was going to be the number one pick. I think he fits with their building down there in Carolina. I think he is more immediate of a quarterback than CJ Stroud is. I think CJ Stroud's a little more raw of a talent than Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young in that offense that he ran down, that Saban style offense, I think Bill O'Brien is the offense coordinator. He might be the defensive coordinator down there at Alabama. So I might have that wrong, but there's a lot of NFL heads in that Alabama coaching staff. So it fits that he could go to a team that clearly made a lot of moves this offseason that says, I want to win, even though we are drafting one. We were drafting 9 and traded up to 1. We want to win now. We want to go get our quarterback now and start making our moves. They signed Thielen to a big deal. They made a lot of moves this offseason that really fit for them. So I think Bryce Young as a quarterback just fit better. Again, like I said, I like Stroud at 2 for the Texans too. I like both of them a lot. Obviously, with the way that stuff usually goes in the draft is, as much as it sucks to say, we're lucky if one of those top 3 quarterbacks, because Anthony Richardson goes 4, which I'll get into in a little bit. We're lucky if one of them is really, really good. That's just how the probability usually ends up that way. And I hope they're all great. I do. I really hope all of them are great. But it is what it is, and that's how it really ends up. The Texans also make moves to really quote unquote win now is weird to say when you're doing this moves in the draft, but trading away future draft capital to trade up to 3 to pick 2 and 3 to pick what you feel like are the 2 best players in the draft. It's CJ Stroud and then Will Anderson Jr., the pass rusher from Alabama, who I think was an amazing pick. I think that move was absolutely good by both teams. Excuse me. But I know I said the other day that I felt like the Cardinals weren't going to trade, and I thought they were going to end up picking who they ended up picking anyway, which is that offensive tackle from Ohio State. But so I don't blame Arizona for trading back once they kind of realized, we could trade back up to 6 and get who we really want. They made those moves. That was good on the part of Arizona, I won't lie. But Texans to trade up to 3 and get Will Anderson, who was a very good player. A lot of people thought Jalen Carter might go instead of him, above him. They had a lot of people had them 2 as the top 2 pass rushers, which is why that dude from Texas Tech going before Jalen Carter and Jalen Carter falling to the Eagles at 10 was something not a lot of people saw coming. And obviously, like, to call the 10th overall pick a steal already, and obviously we've not even seen him play a down in the NFL, so who knows? But realistically, it worked out very, very well, like I said before, for the Philadelphia Eagles. So you end up Will Anderson at 3, which but I also really like that for Houston and what ended up there. So like I said, and then 4, you get Anthony Richardson to Indianapolis, which I love. When you're left with those 2 quarterbacks that were there, I like Anthony Richardson a lot better than I like Will Levis, because I think Will Levis, no offense, is kind of near his ceiling. I think his ceiling is what we saw at him in college. I'm not saying Will Levis is a bad quarterback, but I don't think Will Levis has the potential to really be anything better than an average quarterback in the league. I think he could be a starter. I think he definitely has the talent, the arm talent, the accuracy, the poise in the pocket to be a starter in this league at some point in his career. But I don't think he's this stud star player that everybody that you want when you're drafting 1, 2 towards the top of this draft. I think Anthony Richardson does have the potential to be that player, but he could also be he's more of a chance than Will Levis is, and that's why a lot of people were in between them. But like I said, Anthony Richardson, his raw talent that you could see if you watch the film of him at Florida and just see what he's able to do with his legs and the way he's able to create his own plays and extend plays. And yeah, he has a little bit of accuracy issues, but I think accuracy can be taught. I think accuracy can be fixed. I think athleticism and stuff like that can't be. And I think with a little bit of time, with a little bit of help from who the Colts have there in their coaching staff, with Shane Steichen, who a lot of, like you saw what Steichen was able to do in his offense last year with the Eagles. Like that offense was absolutely what they were able to upgrade Jalen Hurts to compared to the year before was absolutely, absolutely so good. And it excites me to see the possibility of what Steichen can do with Anthony Richardson. But it's definitely a risky pick nonetheless. It is 110% a risky pick because it's more of a raw talent. He's not as well cut as a Stroud, a young, even he's not as really well cut as a Will Levis, but I think he has the potential. I think his ceiling is a lot higher. And I like that the Colts took him at 4. Like I said, Bijan Robinson, he ends up going 8 to Atlanta, which I don't hate, I don't love. From someone in their division, someone who hates the Falcons, go Saints. But it's another weapon of their offense. I don't know if I like Ritter. I don't know if Ritter has the talent that I think Atlanta feels like he has to commit to him so fast. You gave Mariota 1 year and dipped and said, all right, Ritter, you're our guy. Let's see it. I don't know. I don't know if that's what I saw out of Ritter last year. Like, I've even said this when I'm going on about Ritter. I said this about Jordan Love, and I saw more of Ritter last year, and I would still feel more confident starting Love based off what I saw than going to Ritter, if you get what I'm saying there. So they end up not wanting a quarterback, not trying to trade up for a Levis or anything like that. They end up taking Bijan Robinson, which is another huge, very, very good weapon. Bijan Robinson is very good, added to an offense that drafted Drake London last year. You got Kyle Pitts. So a lot of young weapons to grow there in Atlanta together with Desmond Ritter. So the hope is that they all grow together and really get good together. But I don't know if I saw that out of Desmond Ritter to really surprise me. There was a little run of receivers that I do want to just talk about real quick towards the end of the first round, and then I'm kind of done talking about what happened in the draft. Packers end up not drafting a receiver in the first round again, so they didn't stick that middle finger up to Aaron Rodgers like I thought they were going to. I thought they were really just going to be like, damn, bro, like, you left. Now we're going to do this. But they ended up not doing that. They drafted a linebacker from Iowa, I believe. Jets also don't draft offense in the first round. They end up going defense, which I think is not a terrible pick. I didn't know really who the dude was, and I didn't really have a chance to watch any film on him. But I never really heard of the dude, so I think it's a position fill. I think it's something they definitely needed. So I don't think it's a terrible pick, but I don't know if it's a bad pick. But as we got to the later end of the round, there was the run of receivers that usually happens in the draft. Because once one goes, anybody who has a receiver on their board panics and starts to trade up and pick them. So the Vikings end up nabbing Jordan Addison from USC, which I think was a very, very good pick for them. He's going to replace Thielen, who I think Thielen leaving is good for Thielen. I think Thielen deserves to be number one receiver. I think a lot of people forgot about him when the talent of Justin Jefferson walked into Minnesota, and Justin Jefferson is what he is, and he's the amazing player that he is. I think Jordan Addison is a great pick and is going to be another stud that is a very good playmaker for that Vikings offense. It's just how much can Kirk really put up this year? And then also in that run of receivers, I don't know if it was the pick after or if it was in between, because there was the Steelers also picked a receiver. But the Ravens end up taking Boston College receiver Zay Flowers, which a great pick, honestly. I think Zay Flowers, a lot of people had him as the best running back in the draft or wide receiver in the draft. I apologize. And adding him to an offense that just added Odell. So now there's two weapons there for Lamar to really like after he just got his big, huge deal and he became the highest paid player in the league. So great, honestly, great for him, great for Lamar and that offense who's really trying to get going this year. They're trying to succeed. A team that hasn't had great success in the playoffs, they're trying to really get it going. This year is hopefully going to be the year, especially after all this drama you had in the offseason. I think it's time to put that aside, really focus, and maybe this Ravens team could be dangerous this year. You never know. I think a lot of the success does ride on Odell, and can Odell stay healthy? What will Odell be able to do? But I think it's a fun team to look forward to as we get into this dull period. You know, the draft just happened. So now we're in this period of the year where it's OTA, it's mini camps, it's very, very boring time of year for football. That's why when you guys tune in live stream, I will be getting a lot more basketball based, but I will also be getting a lot more guests on the show, stuff like that, because football is really dying down. We're getting to that low point of the year where it's the month of May. It's baseball season, it's basketball playoffs. You got the summer. And then once we get into really August and stuff like that is where football season, we start heating up. We get the preseason. We get really sneak peeks of what we're really going to see this season. And we get close to football. We get the whole countdown. So I'm going to move on from football like everyone else is, like the season is. And we're going to talk about what's hot right now. It's the NBA playoffs. But do I want to talk about the NBA playoffs? Because you guys have heard me on this show a million times. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, talk about my favorite basketball team, the New York Knickerbockers. My good old New York Knicks. I love them. They played amazing against a Cavs team that was playing very bad. They beat them in 6. They beat them in Cleveland a couple of times. They looked very good. And then at the top of the bracket, what happens? Milwaukee, Miami. You get an injured Milwaukee. You get an injured Giannis. You get playoff Jimmy averaging 34 points a game in that series, and Miami dominates the 1 seed and becomes the 5th team all time to upset a 1 seed in the NBA playoffs. Congratulations, Miami Heat. But me as a Knicks fan, I sit there and I look at that and I go, wow. Dude, the Knicks got a chance to make the Eastern Conference Finals? Come on, bro. Can we please beat the Miami Heat as a fully healthy team? Yeah, Julius Randle might be out for game 1, but we still got Brunson. RJ's been playing amazing. We've been rebounding we've been one of the best rebounding teams in the playoffs. We've been hitting efficient shots. But then what I saw the Knicks do at home in the Garden, on Saturday afternoon was an absolute embarrassment. It was an embarrassment for the New York Knicks. In an era of today's day and age where we have seen Steph Curry and a three-pointer do absolutely glory for teams, you shoot 20%. You have Obi Toppin shoot 4 for 11 from 3. Your best player, Jalen Brunson, shot 0 for 7 from 3. You as a team shot 20% from 3. RJ shot 20% from 3. He was like 4 for, I don't even know. I think it was 4 for 12. You had 12 turnovers as a team. There was a lot of issues there for the New York Knicks. No Julius Randle. Yeah, I see that. I see that with the Knicks. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But game 1 at home was an absolute embarrassment for the New York Knicks. And if they want to win, honestly, at all in this series, they have to play a lot better. They got lucky, and I hate to say that this is lucky because I hate to see players get injured. And I texted one of my friends when Jimmy rolled his ankle. And I go, yeah, it helps us, and I want to win this series, but it doesn't feel right if we beat a Jimmy-less Heat. Like, if Jimmy don't play in game 2 or game 3, and that's how we take a 2-1 lead, and then when Jimmy comes back, they win, Stuff like that. If that happens, I'm going to be very upset. And there's no way this Knicks team is beating anyone if they hypothetically, if they get lucky in advance now. After what I saw on Monday night, I don't know if they could make the Eastern Conference Finals. But if they get lucky and do, and I hope they do, I'm rooting for them. I hope they do. There's no way that the team I saw on Saturday is beating the Philadelphia team I saw last night, or even the Boston team I saw last night that lost after James Harden dropped 45. Because if you saw Tatum dropped 20 in the second quarter. Like, the Knicks aren't doing anything there. Like, the performance that the Knicks put on Saturday was an absolute embarrassment. 13 turnovers. Brunson had 25, 7, 5, but he also had 5 turnovers. And like I said, he was 0 for 7 from 3. 0 for 7? Obi had 18 points, 8 rebounds, but he was 4 for 11, like I said. RJ was 1 for 5 with 4 turnovers. Yeah, he had 26, 7, and 9, but I don't care. You played terrible. You had Jimmy Butler absolutely bust our ass. You had, like, and then when I was watching the game, some of the passes Jimmy Butler was making, some of the stuff that was happening in game 1, like, they looked very good. And we did not, as a team. The Knicks looked very, very bad. Jimmy Butler had 25 and rolled his ankle. And then I'll go into that later. Kevin Love's outlet passes made him look like the Peyton Manning of basketball. Can we play defense on that? Kyle Lowry, who's been terrible all year. Yeah, we just let him put up 18 and 6 on our head. Like, what is this? Gabe Vincent puts up 20 on our dome piece too. It was an absolute embarrassment. And then, right? What I feel like is the most obvious part of the whole entire game is Jimmy rolls his ankle with 5 minutes left and stays in the game. And Tom Thibodeau doesn't put like Jalen Brunson or RJ Barrett, who's been attacking the basket extremely well. You're not going to put them in ISO and attack that. You're not going to do everything in your power offensively to attack the guy who literally couldn't run. He couldn't run. Look what he did on offense. He walked to the corner and sat there. And then on defense, he didn't have to do anything either because we didn't attack him. Why? Why are you not doing that? It seems so obvious. I feel like everybody and their mom could have called that. Hey, attack the dude who maybe can't walk. Maybe attack the dude who can't walk. Maybe. Like, just maybe. Crazy. Absolute crazy. Chris, I don't know. I don't think the Knicks could beat the Celtics in 7. How you saying so? You also said Celtics in 4. They lost last night, Chris. Come on. Pay attention, buddy. I'm actually going to get into that game because I don't know if anybody watched that game. Last night was a lot of fun. That was an entertaining basketball game. I did not catch all of it. I caught the end of it. But Philadelphia does take a 1-0 lead and steal home court advantage against the Celtics with an absolute amazing performance by Harden. Harden dropped 45. What's his name? Joel Embiid's injured. So, can they take the series? I don't know. I think that's where it gets really difficult. I don't know when Joel Embiid's coming back. But if Harden's going to play like that, that was like prime James Harden that I saw last night. Like, James Harden looked like Rockets James Harden last night. And the shot that he made to win the game was absolutely insane. So shout out James Harden for looking how he did last night against the Boston Celtics and playing as well as he did. Like I said, he dropped 45. He ended up with 45. What is it? 45, 4 and 4, right? 45, 6 and 4. Oh, no, 45, 6 and 1. He had 6 assists, 1 rebound. So an absolute great game out of him. Also, Toby showed up, I remember, too. Toby played pretty well. He ended up having 18. Tyrese Maxey had 26 because he's a scoring machine. He always shows up in games where he needs to. So really, really, really big game there out of the Philadelphia 76ers and a really impressive performance out of James Harden to, like I said, steal home court advantage which is what they're hoping is going to help them. Obviously, the hope is that is going to help them for giving them time for Joel Embiid to come back. You give time for Embiid to come back, and can maybe have a tied series, and maybe you could win the series with the Celtics or what the Sixers are hoping. Is that if Embiid is out for 4 games, Celtics can, or for more than 4 games now, the Celtics can take the next 4 without Embiid, like it is possible. But Boston is in a bad luck spell right now. So, you just had that whole deal with the Bruins. You just had that deal last night with the Celtics. So Boston's down bad right now. The Celtics are the city of Boston is down bad right now. I cannot lie. The city of Boston is really, really, really in a bad spot right now. But then I was talking about basketball. The Knicks play tonight, 7:30, game 2. They got to play. I went on my whole rant. You guys heard it. There's not much more for me to say. It is what it is. But yeah, that team that I saw on Saturday is not a team that is going to go anywhere. It's coaching was a problem. Yeah, they didn't hit a shot. Everything went wrong. You lose a game at home. You give the Heat, who have been the hottest team in basketball. They just are coming off upsetting a 1 seed. You give up home court advantage to them, and we're the Knicks. Like this is the Garden. Home court advantage is huge for us, but you give it up. So it's back where we are, and it really, really sucks. But also tonight we have game 1 of the Lakers Warriors. And the reason I bring that up is because I want to talk about specifically the Warriors, who seem to love taunting me. I talked about the Warriors winning the championship. And then the Warriors go down 2-0 to the Sacramento Kings. And I'm like, oh, this is the Warriors team I saw all year. This is a Warriors team that can't win on the road. They look terrible in game 1 and game 2. This is a Warriors team that just can't win on the road. What's going on? Oh my God, they're making me look stupid. So I take it back. I go, based off what I saw in game 1 and game 2, I don't know what this team is, right? I think Steph Curry might listen to this show. I don't know. Because I said that, and the Warriors win game 3 and game 4. I'm like, oh, but they're the Warriors. They go back to home, right? All right. And then they go into Sacramento and win game 5. I was like, what? Right? I'm like, oh, so now you make me look stupid. Now you're going to win the series in 6. You're literally going to win 4 straight, right? So now I start rooting for the Kings a little bit because I don't want to look stupid, which I don't now, based off my original opinion. Thank God. But, right? So you end up there, right? And then game 6 happens, and we've now heard all the stories about game 6, right? Steph Curry has apparently this all-time speech with the squad the day after because Draymond said both of them couldn't sleep. Of course, Draymond involved himself. He sent the text first. He was like, I can't sleep. And then Steph was like, let me handle it. I don't know, Draymond. But game 7, Steph Curry is Steph Curry. That's literally all. That's the sentence. If you did not watch game 7 of the Kings Warriors series, you missed out of an all-time playoff performance. An all-time playoff performance on Saturday in game 7 for Steph Curry. Steph Curry ends up dropping 50, had 6 assists, had 8 rebounds. Like I said, one of the greatest games I have ever watched. I had a great second half. Honestly, he did start off slow. Also, I didn't even realize this until right now. I don't know how I didn't. Shout out Kevon Looney, too, in that game 7, having 21 rebounds. My Lord. But, oh my God. Like I said, 50 for Steph. Kevon Looney had 11 points, but he had 21 rebounds. And the Warriors pulled the Warriors and showed why they are who they are. Like, they showed their experience. And I think once I saw the Lakers win, I kind of started rooting for Golden State in my head because I think everybody who's a basketball fan knows the era of the Warriors dynasty versus LeBron's Cavs. And there was no parity in the NBA. It was literally every year. I remember there was even an SNL skit about it that it was like, we're going to be in 2035 and it's going to be like LeBron and a bunch of robots versus the Warriors for the 17th time. And they had everyone in the league. Like, you know what I'm saying? But that's not what ended up happening. What ended up happening, or that's what ended, like, obviously, and then like they ended up getting old, and the Warriors dynasty, disappears for 2 years, and we have the Bucks go win a championship, and then we have and then the Warriors again last year. They missed the playoffs, and then. So like I said, the Bucks win the championship, and then they make the playoffs last year, is like they did this year. I believe they were a 4 seed. They're a 6 seed this year, but I believe they were a 4 seed last year. And they start winning games in the playoffs. They start showing their experience, and they start showing why they are who they are. And the Warriors end up getting to the NBA Finals, and they end up playing the Boston Celtics, right? And obviously, they also didn't make the bubble and all this, right? Right. So the Warriors were gone for a little bit, and everyone thought the dynasty was over. And then they come back, and Steph Curry shows who he is, and they win the finals last year. And I think, as a basketball fan sitting here, the chance that we get to see LeBron James play Steph Curry and this Warriors LeBron rivalry one last time at least, I feel like a lot of people agree that like this might be the last time we see this for real in meaningful playoff basketball. I love it, and I'm excited for this series. I think I'll probably tune into every game like it's the 2016 finals again. I'm very excited for this series. I'm going to be completely honest. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's going to be LeBron being LeBron. He clearly hit zero dark 30 mode, which we haven't seen in a while, after Dylan Brooks, who now is no longer going to be on the Memphis Grizzlies because you pissed off LeBron. And they go, what the hell, dude? So now they no longer – they literally said today, it actually came out today, that Dylan Brooks already will not be on the team's roster last year. Connor, stop texting me. I already talked about the Knicks. You missed it, buddy. But back to what I was saying. So, yeah, that's going to be an exciting series to watch. I think a lot of NBA fans are going to love to watch it, and are going to be entertained by it. You got, like I said, it's just LeBron versus the Warriors again for one last time at least in meaningful basketball. The Lakers are playing very well. Like I said, LeBron's playing very well. Steph Curry's playing very well. The Warriors finally are starting to click. So 10:30 tonight for all you basketball fans. That's when that game starts. So it will be – I'm excited. So now with the last little bit, I'm going to talk about Denver first. I forgot about Denver. Denver won, I believe that was Sunday they played. They ended up beating the Suns. They take a 2-0 series lead. I didn't catch much of that game. I did watch the highlights. Shout out Jamal Murray, someone I've been waiting to pop off again since the bubble. He looked like bubble Jamal Murray the other night. He was hitting every shot. He was just lacing them. He had an amazing game against the Suns. They take a 2-0 lead. Kevin Durant said it himself. There's no reason. I don't know why people are surprised about this. Denver's the number 1 seed in the West, which is very, very good for a reason. Nikola Jokic is an MVP candidate for a reason. They're a very good team. So them having a 2-0 series lead on Phoenix shouldn't surprise many people. I think Phoenix could easily even it up at 2-2 when they go back to Phoenix now. But nobody should be sleeping on the Nuggets. And I said this when the playoffs started. There's no reason to sleep on a team that has Nikola Jokic, that has a Jamal Murray who we saw in Game 2, can score at will if he really wants to. So it's a team to worry about in the West. I think no matter what team they end up playing, if they end up winning this series against the Suns, if the Suns end up – all right, let me put it this way. If Denver ends up winning, I don't care who makes the conference finals. If Phoenix ends up winning. I really want the Warriors. I would like the Warriors to win because I'd like that Warriors Phoenix rivalry to heat back up. I really like how that one goes. I like how they have bad blood there and they really battle. They tend to battle with each other a lot when they play, even in the regular season. So that's how that series is going. Denver's up 2-0. Don't be surprised if they win. Don't be surprised if they win in 5. Denver's a very, very good team. That's all I got for basketball, though. I'm going to be honest. Sorry, Connor, that you missed the Knicks. Really sucks for you. Should tune in more. Should tune into the whole show, maybe. That'd be a lot better. You wouldn't have missed it then, buddy. I'm going to talk about UFC 288 now. That's what I'm going to talk about because that's what I want to talk about. We got this on Saturday, May 6th, this weekend. We got Aljo Cejudo is the main event. Co-main is Bilal Muhammad versus Gilbert Burns. We got Jessica Andrade. Well, I can't pronounce her last name. She's fighting. You got a couple other fights going on. The Charles Oliveira fight was supposed to be the co-main event. Sadly, that is not happening. You got the youngest Gracie. I believe it is his son, Kron Gracie. He is fighting also on the main card. On the prelims, let's see if there's any names that really stick out to me here. No, there are not. On the super early prelims, anybody that sticks out to me here. Rafael Estevam, he's 11-0. He's a pretty solid fighter at the flyweight division, which is a weak division, so that one will be definitely interesting, fun to watch. But so I'll only really talk about the main card then, because that's really all people are going to care about when it comes to this event, even though UFC is fun to watch. It's fun to watch the new guys. New guys brawl. They like to make statements. They need to show who they are. These new guys and girls that are coming up in the UFC, I tend to like those fights more personally. For you people getting into UFC, I definitely always, especially if you can't afford the event. I know the UFC events tend to get expensive. I think they're $70 or they might be up to $80 now. Last time I checked, I think it was like $75-$80 for a UFC event on ESPN Plus. I know that gets expensive. So for you guys who are trying to get into UFC, instead of just streaming the main event and that getting freezing so you can't really watch it, definitely go on ESPN and tune into the prelims. They usually start around like 8 o'clock when the main event starts at 10. And like I said, it's just fun to watch those younger dudes who are like, because a lot of those people, they are on basis where like they if they lose, they could be cut or their contract could not be renewed, etc. And you could get dropped from the promotion. So it seems sometimes, I don't want to say they fight with more heart, because obviously I love seeing these championship fights, and you're gonna fight with heart in a championship fight, but like it's more scrappy. You know what I mean? You see these championship fights, especially this weekend. For those of you who are casual UFC fans, this is going to be a wrestling main event. This might go 5. Like, this very likely is going to go 5. There's 2 people who like to wrestle. You're not going to see people, swinging really in that fight. We will in the Muhammad fight. The Muhammad Burns fight, you'll see a nice little brawl. Burns fighting this fight on short notice, too. I actually just thought of that. Did Burns not fight like a month ago? Was he not at 287? He was. Oh my God, Gilbert Burns. Shout out Gilbert Burns. That just clicked as I was talking about him. So shout out Gilbert Burns. He's fighting on short notice, taking this Bilal Muhammad fight after that Charlie Olives fight got canceled, who he was supposed to fight Beneil Dariush. So shout out Gilbert Burns on short notice coming in, literally fighting a month ago. So someone clearly likes to fight. Like, you see that out of big name fighters. Like, he clearly still likes to fight. But as I was talking, those early fights are fun to watch because those are people really scraping. So they are willing, even if they are a wrestler, they'll throw crazy because they want to knock you out. Because sometimes even a decision win is not enough to stay in the promotion. You need to really impress sometimes. But I'm going to start on the lower part of the main card. You got the Jessica Andrade. Andrade. That's the best I could do. Fight. She is fighting Yan Zohan, I believe her name is. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. The last time we saw Jessica Andrade fight, she won by submission. It was a UFC fight night back in February. Actually, yeah, back in February. So a couple months ago, but she has fought this year. She's been pretty active. She also fought against Lauren Murphy back in January and won that fight by decision. Oh, no, she lost by submission to Erin Blanchfield. That was her last fight. So she's trying to bounce back. She is currently ranked, I want to say she's ranked 5th in the flyweight division, in the strawweight division. Let me look up the women's rankings. But I want to say she's ranked. She might have dropped after that Blanchfield fight. Women's strawweight rank. So right now, according to this is just an MMA website because this is all opinion based. This is the women's strawweight division. Oh, damn. She dropped out of the top 10. So maybe she's been losing more than I've been thinking because Jessica Andrade, she's been a very good fighter. She's been in the UFC for a very, very long time. So she's definitely not someone to count out. Personally, if I was going to bet on this weekend, I'd probably bet on Andrade. Andrade. Blah, 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 blah. I'm clearly pronouncing her name great. But I think that one will be fun. But it'll be a very, very fun weekend to watch. Then you got the Gilbert Burns fight. That is going to happen. That's going to be a fun fight. He's fighting Belal Muhammad. Gilbert Burns, last time we saw him, he beat the hell out of Jorge Masvidal, which is what I predicted. Beat him by decision. But, yeah, beat the hell out of him for a little while. So I think Gilbert Burns Belal Muhammad is going to be a fun fight. I think that's better. I think it's going to be a better fight than a Jorge fight. I think this is more trouble for Burns just because of style, even though I think Jorge is slightly better than Belal. I think because of style, Belal's got some heavy hands. He could definitely knock Burns and shake him up a little bit, especially because Masvidal did a couple times. So it was very, very, very – that Masvidal fight was very Burns' favor, but you saw Burns slip up that someone with the hands like Belal Muhammad could definitely slip. It could definitely slip and you could catch. But I would take Burns in this fight. Again, he might be fatigued because he had at most probably 3 weeks to prepare for this fight because he literally fought March 6th was his last fight. So, or April 6th, I mean, right? It was April 6th, or was that March 6th? I literally just had it up, and now I forgot the date. Because maybe it was 2 months ago when I said it was a month ago for Gilbert Burns. Where's this fight? Where's 287? No, it's April 8th. So, yeah, literally a month ago. So, we had at most 3 weeks, 4 weeks to prepare for this fight. And also, yes, Joe, I did talk football. It was at the beginning of the show, like it always is. Like I said to Connor. If you're upset that you missed something, maybe you should support me and tune in the whole time. But as I was saying about UFC 288, it's that, that Burns fight's going to be entertaining for a lot of people who want to tune in. I would say if you're going to tune into one fight over the other, if you're a casual, definitely watch the Burns fight and then just go to bed if you don't want to watch it. 5-round wrestling fest with Aljo Cejudo. But Aljo Cejudo is the main event. It is a championship fight. That one will be entertaining. I'm going to take Cejudo by decision personally, just because, like I said at the beginning of at the top of the show, very much like Cejudo when you've been watching and seeing what he's been able to do. Like you look at, I know there was a clip that came out. I talked about this at John Jones fight and how he won. Cejudo trained him for the exact situation that ended up happening against Gahan. Cejudo's mental capacity and mental focus for the game is something unreal. Aljo's also up there though with his mental and how good he is. So I think it's going to be a good fight. I think, like I said, it's going to be a wrestling match. It's going to be a submission grapple fest. Like, it's not going to be entertaining to the eye, but it's going to be very technical, and there's going to be a lot of takedowns and this and that. Honestly, no offense to Aljo. If someone gets dropped, it's probably him. Like, if anyone will win by decision, it's more likely to be Triple C's than Aljo, because I think Aljo's more likely to slip up and give his chin up. So I think it's going to be a fun fight. I'm rooting for Aljo. I love Aljo, but if I'm a betting man, I'm picking Triple C's by decision. Since you're asking for it in the chat here, Joe, I'll talk a little bit about the McGregor fight coming up in a couple months, because they did just announce that fight night, or not fight night, what's it called? Tough officially comes out at the end of the month. So that'll be fun to hype up the fight. We get to watch Conor McGregor, good old Conor McGregor, as a nice coach coaching it up. You know, last time he was a coach on Tough, it was very interesting because, you know, he yelled at a dude, "What are you doing? You're effing, why are you grappling? Why are you grappling? Stand up." He's saying that to his own dude who's winning on the ground, by the way. He's winning by decision, and he's winning by submission, and he got mad. "Stand up, you P-word." I can't say the word live on air, but you know what word I'm trying to say. Like, it was so funny last time he was a coach. So it'll be very entertaining. It got out already that him and Chandler did get into it at one point while coaching, which will always be fun to watch. Conor McGregor make fun of someone. It'll be like, you're short mother boo. Your family. Fuck the Mayweather's, like, you know, Conor McGregor stuff. So it'll be fun to watch that, hype up the fight. I think him versus Chandler will be very entertaining. I think it'll be very fun. I think they're both going to brawl. I think if McGregor wins, you don't deserve anything after. Like, you don't deserve a title shot. McGregor's been inactive for however long. And when he was active, it was very lackluster. It was a loss to Poirier. The only person he beat was Cowboy and Gaethje. So nothing really impressive there for McGregor. I don't feel like he deserves a title shot if he wins, but I think he deserves maybe like another like Gaethje fight would be fun. You know what I'm saying? It'll definitely be fun to see Conor McGregor back in the octagon. It's just Joe, he has to go back down to fighting weight. So the bulk doesn't matter. So, because he has to go back down to 135, I think he fights at. So it'll be a fun fight, though. It'll definitely be a fun fight. It'll be a lot. It'll be fun to watch. He's going up from 135. He was fighting at 135. By the way, if you guys are listening to the radio, the dude I'm talking to is my friend Joe in the chat. Hopefully, because he is watching this on the live stream right now, so I'm going to call him out live on it. Hopefully, he'll start being on the show when I live stream this at home. So this won't be a weird conversation through the chat. It would be a real-life conversation that I'm having with that ugly guy. So that'll be my co-host for you all that want to tune into the live stream when I'm back home. He's a fun dude. Kind of dumb, but a fun dude. That'll definitely be happening. But as I was saying, that's all I really got for y'all today. Thank you, Joe, and thank you everybody else who tuned in. Thank you, WSJU, for such a fun semester here. Such a good time. I had a lot of fun. I will be back in August when we come back, whenever that is. I don't know why the stream froze, but whenever that is, I will come back. Football season will be just getting underway. Hopefully the live stream will be balling. So maybe I get more people on this radio. Hopefully I'll have my co-host Joe up here next year with me. We could get that going. So I think my camera died. That's what I think happened. Thank you all for tuning in today and this semester. Thank you all so much. I'm Logan. This is WSJU Radio. This was the Log Show. I will be back in a couple months here on the radio. I will hopefully be back next week, if not maybe the week after, here on the live stream. So thank you all so much. Peace out.